Before the first word of the Bible was written, before the universe existed, Jewish sages believed something extraordinary, that God did not simply create the world, he spoke it into existence. And the tools he used were these: 22 letters, each one carrying a meaning deeper than a word, each one holding a number, each one, according to ancient Jewish teaching, a building block of reality itself. And hidden inside these letters is a pattern that Jewish scholars have studied for over 2,000 years, a pattern that, some believe, points directly to the end of days. Welcome. Today we are stepping into one of the most fascinating corners of ancient Jewish wisdom, a world that most people have never explored. We are going to look at the Hebrew letters, not as a writing system, but the way Jewish sages have always seen them, as living symbols, as numerical codes, as windows into something eternal. And at the end of this video, we are going to look at what some of these ancient teachings say about the world we are living in right now. Stay with me. This one is worth your full attention. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Hit subscribe before we go further. We explore ancient Jewish wisdom every week, and you do not want to miss what is coming. To understand the Hebrew letters, we need to go back, far back, to one of the oldest mystical texts in Jewish history. It is called the Sefer Yetzirah, in English, the Book of Formation. This text, believed to have been written sometime in the early centuries of the Common Era, opens with a stunning declaration that God created the universe using two things: 10 divine numbers and 22 letters. The exact words of the Sefer Yetzirah say, by means of the 22 letters, by giving them a form and shape, by mixing them and combining them in different ways, God made the soul of all that which was created and all that which will be. Think about what that means for a moment. Not metaphor, not poetry. Jewish mystics believed this literally, that reality itself, every tree, every star, every human being, is woven from combinations of these 22 letters. This is why, in Jewish tradition, the Hebrew alphabet has always been treated as something sacred, something alive. Now here is where things get extraordinary. In Hebrew, every letter is also a number. This is not a coincidence. It is by design. The first letter, Aleph, equals 1. The second, Bet, equals 2. And so on through the entire alphabet. This system is called gematria, and for over 2,000 years, Jewish scholars have used it to find hidden connections between words, connections they believe God intentionally placed inside the text of the Torah. Here is a simple example that you may have seen before without knowing what it meant. The Hebrew word chai, meaning life, is made of two letters, het, which equals 8, and yud, which equals 10, together 18. This is why the number 18 is considered deeply significant in Jewish culture, why Jewish gifts are often given in multiples of 18, why Jews say l'chaim, to life. The number and the meaning are inseparable. But gematria goes much deeper than that. The Talmud, the great body of Jewish law and wisdom, gives us this example from the book of Genesis. Jacob dreams of a ladder stretching from earth to heaven. The Hebrew word for ladder is sulam. Its numerical value is 130. The Hebrew word for Sinai, the mountain where Moses received the Torah, is also 130. Jewish sages concluded from this: the ladder in Jacob's dream and the mountain of Sinai share the same divine energy. That the Torah, received at Sinai, is humanity's ladder to heaven, a connection hidden in plain sight, inside the numbers, inside the letters. Now within the Hebrew alphabet, Jewish tradition teaches that not all letters are equal. There are 3 letters that stand above the rest. They are called the 3 mother letters, Aleph, Mem, Shin. And according to the Sefer Yetzirah, these 3 letters are the mothers of all creation, because they represent the 3 primordial elements from which everything was formed. Aleph represents air, the breath of life, the silent force that fills all things. Mem represents water, the first letter of the Hebrew word for water, mayim, the element of depth, mystery, and the unconscious. Shin represents fire, transformation, energy, the element that purifies and destroys and renews. 3 elements, 3 mother letters, and from their combinations, Jewish mystics taught, all of creation emerges. What strikes me about this, and what I find remarkable, is that this is not a modern idea. This teaching is from a text that is nearly 2,000 years old, and yet it carries a kind of poetry that still stops you in your tracks. Let us look more closely at the first letter, Aleph. In ancient pictographic Hebrew, the form of the alphabet before it became what we know today, the letter Aleph was drawn as an ox head. The ox, a symbol of strength, endurance, and the foundations of civilization. But inside the letter Aleph, as it is written today, Jewish scholars have discovered something extraordinary. The letter Aleph is made of 3 smaller letters, 2 yods, each with a value of 10, and 1 vav, with a value of 6. 10 plus 10 plus 6, 26. And what is the numerical value of the most sacred name of God in the Hebrew Bible? The 4-letter name YHWH, also 26. Hidden inside the very first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is the numerical fingerprint of the divine name. Whether you see this as a beautiful coincidence or as intentional divine design, it is the kind of discovery that makes you stop and wonder. Now, as we promised at the beginning, let us look at what some of these ancient teachings say about the age we are living in. I want to be clear. What we are sharing now are Jewish traditional teachings and interpretations, views held by scholars and sages across many generations. They are not predictions. They are not prophecies that we are asserting as fact. But they are remarkable, and they deserve to be understood. In Hebrew, the phrase for the end of days is Acharit Hayamim. It appears throughout the Hebrew scriptures, in Isaiah, in Daniel, in the Book of Numbers. And Jewish teachers have long noted that many of the signs described in those ancient texts, division between nations, moral confusion, the return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, are not descriptions of a distant future. They describe the present. One of the most striking examples, the prophet Ezekiel, writing more than 2,500 years ago, described a time when the Jewish people would be gathered from among the nations and return to their ancient homeland. In 1948, after 2,000 years of exile, the State of Israel was established. Jewish scholars who had studied these passages for generations, many of them had spent lifetimes asking, when? And then they watched it happen. This is not politics. This is not modern commentary. This is an ancient text and a moment in history that invites us to look again at what these old words might mean. 22 letters, each one a number, each one a symbol, each one, in Jewish teaching, a piece of the divine architecture of reality. What I find most moving about all of this is not the mysticism, it is the dedication. Generation after generation of Jewish scholars, through exile, through persecution, through centuries of uncertainty, they kept studying these letters. They kept asking what was hidden inside them. They kept believing that the words were alive. And whether you share their faith or simply find this fascinating, there is something undeniably profound about a people who looked at an alphabet and saw not just language, but the face of God. We are only beginning to scratch the surface of what is hidden inside these ancient texts and traditions. And that is what this channel is here to explore with you, week after week. If this video opens something in you, a question, a curiosity, a sense that there is more to explore, then subscribe to this channel, because next week we are going deep into another layer of this tradition, one that most people have never heard of, and I promise you it is worth coming back for. And I want to hear from you right now. Which part of this video surprised you the most? Was it the connection between Aleph and the name of God? Was it the gematria of the ladder in Sinai? Or something else entirely? Write it in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to keep going right now, the video on screen is the perfect next step. It explores another ancient Jewish tradition that has quietly shaped the world, and almost nobody knows the full story. Thank you for being here. Shalom.